Hello, citizens of District 4. Like me, many of you are worried about what is happening in our hometown. As the father of a 3.5-year-old, I'm very concerned about our financial health. I believe the next 4 years will be the most critical in the history of Princeton and Caldwell County. I can use my education, industry, and banking experience to make an impact. Caldwell County needs new ideas, vision, and leadership before it's too late. This is Jeff Sims, your candidate for magistrate in District 4. I'm asking for your vote on November 6th, paid for by Jeff Sims, Magistrate District 4.
Picture KFC's world-famous extra crispy chicken. Now, imagine it glistening in hot honey sauce. Just think about the crispy, sweet heat. Now, it's in your sights. Reach for it. Almost there. Oops, this is a KFC radio commercial. But you can make your picture a reality by getting a Hot Honey Tenders basket. KFC, it's finger-licking good. At participating KFCs for a limited time, prices may vary. Tax extra.
Treasures Remembered Florist and Greenhouse, serving families in good times and bad times. They offer fresh bouquets and sympathy arrangements, custom wreaths and silk arrangements. They have a wonderful selection of gifts, sympathy items, unique wall art, frames and framed prints, birdhouses, candles, wind chimes, and more. Open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5, and Saturday, 8:30 to noon. Treasures Remembered Florist and Greenhouse, 600 West Locust Street, Princeton, serving Princeton and Caldwell County for over 100 years.
To today's version of the Saturday Morning Quarterback. Last night at War Memorial Stadium, the Tigers went down to defeat at the hands of the Mayfield Cardinals 31-14, a game closer than the final score would indicate. I am Bob Hayes, and I'm joined in the studio this morning by head coach David Barnes, Coach Jeff Riley, and Coach Earl. The Tigers ended their regular season 7-3 last night and will begin playoffs this coming Friday night at Tiger Stadium by hosting the Edmonson County Wildcats. I'll be back with Coach Barnes and staff to talk about last night's game against Mayfield after these messages from our sponsors.
Planters Bank, located at 208 North Jefferson Street, is locally owned and operated with a strong, sincere focus on customer service. Planters Bank has a diverse team of seasoned professionals in Western Kentucky and Clarksville, Tennessee. Since first opening their doors, Planters Bank has made a name for itself as an energetic player in the financial services market. Stop by and talk to the friendly folks at Planters and find out about the You Choose Rewards program. Planters Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Little Caesars Princeton is excited to announce our new online ordering mobile app and our brand new pizza portal. Now you can download our app, order online, and pick up using your emailed code at the pizza portal. The pizza portal is a new amazing feature that allows you to bypass waiting in line and directly pick up your order from the portal. Put your code in, the door pops open, and there's your order. In, get your food, and quickly back out. When you download our app, bring your phone in, show us, and receive a free bag of Crazy Bread. And as always, thank you for choosing your locally owned pizza restaurant. Pizza, pizza.
A message to the patients of the general surgeon, Dr. Hinton. Dr. Hinton would like to thank all of his patients for allowing him the opportunity to be your surgeon. It's been his honor to take care of you, and he appreciates the confidence you have placed in him. Dr. Hinton is not retiring. He's moved his practice to KDIS. He will continue the care of all of his Caldwell County patients at his KDIS office next to Trigg County Hospital. You can reach Dr. Hinton at 270-522-2557.
David, I thought last night our players gave an inspired effort, but we came up just a little bit short.
I was very proud of the effort our kids gave. You know, we went in there and they were undefeated and ranked number one in their classification and at their stadium. And, you know, we came out and played hard. Our kids gave everything. I felt like gave everything we could. And, you know, a couple of turnovers and hurt. But overall, I'm very pleased with the way we played last night.
And you look at it as if we were playing the third-ranked team in Kentucky, and maybe our path to the 3A championship game, we may not face a team as good as Mayfield in that track. So playing well last night against Mayfield, I think, has to really lift our spirits and get us ready for this playoff run.
Well, you know, our kids, you know, you look at Mayfield's schedule. They played Corbin back a few weeks ago, and Corbin's a 3A football team that's been ranked up in the top 5 all year long, and you know, I mean, Mayfield beat them by 21 points, and so you know, we were talking last night. We got back, you know, we feel like we played them as well as Corbin because we had that film, and you know, so it should give our kids a lot of motivation to get ready for the playoffs.
And one advantage that Mayfield and Corbin had in that game at Clarksville was a dry field. Last night we were up against wet ball, turf conditions that weren't ideal.
Yeah, not only was that field wet, it was mushy. It was real soft, and there were places where you'd step and your feet would go down in the mud, and I never seen that field like that. But it was really soft.
Going into the press box last night and looking over it and barely able to see the yard line in front of us, and then going down the rest of the field, you couldn't pick up any yard line. So I thought we're going to have to really get our work's going to be cut out for us tonight, trying to figure out where this ball is spotted for radio purposes, for TV purposes. But obviously, it was a game that had a lot of emotion on either side. We had the ejection of one player from Mayfield for a late hit against Oliver Parker. Oliver taking a real shot to the back of the head. To me, it was not a past attempt breakup. It was just zeroed in on a receiver, if you will.
When you look at it on film, it's a pretty good hit, that Oliver took, and the thing that hurt him was it bent him backwards, and I think the injury was in the lower back, and he had no concussion or anything like that. His dad texted me a while ago and said he was okay, and he was up moving around this morning, so that's good.
Well, we knew that obviously when he came back into the game, that all the protocols had been met, and we felt like there was no issue there, and obviously there was no issue at all revolving around a concussion. That he was probably going to be quite sore for the next 2 or 3 days, and that, but. Returning to the game, you got to give him a pat on the back for being able to do that.
He came to me and wanted to go back in, and I talked to Mike and Ken. He's a orthopedic PA, so you got two guys that know what's going on, and both of them said he could go back if we wanted him to. But I was going to keep him out the rest of the game, but he wanted to go back, and after the game was over, he started tightening up. His back started hurting him pretty good. It was tightening up, and so he went back home with his mom and dad instead of riding at the school bus.
Well, and also when he returned to the game, he made his only 2 catches of the game after he had come back from the injury, and obviously after that it became really chippy. A lot of flags. Mayfield probably like 22 penalties on them last night, and it just seemed to drag the game out and all that. And as we just mentioned. It's always a dungeon look, and when you look at War Memorial Stadium, and it's just always a tough place to play, as you've been quoted several times. It's a tough place to play.
It is, and I've played there as a player and played there as a coach. Davis County, when I was at Davis County, we would play there against Graves, and then we ended up playing Mayfield one year when I was there at Davis. But it's not, it's just I don't know, it's just a weird place to play.
Getting into the first half here, Mayfield, we win the toss and elect to defer. We kick off, and Mayfield mishandles the opening kickoff, and we recover deep in their territory and their 26-yard line. We take advantage of that turnover and score in 7 plays. Travis Newsom has 2 catches, totaling 9 yards on that drive, and those were his only 2 catches of the night. We just couldn't seem to find Travis, or they really covered him up really well, David, after that?
Part of it was they did a good job of coverage. Part of it was that they were getting some pressure on us, and we probably didn't get time to get the ball out.
And Jameer follows with a 3-yard run, De'Eric with a 4-yard run, and then the touchdown comes on a 9-yard pass to De'Eric, and the flat breaks 1 tackle, and driving toward the sideline to the right pylon, he makes a dive around the 3 and stretches that ball across the stripes for the touchdown, and Blake Vivrette adds the extra point, and just the way you'd want to script a game at the start. Caldwell County leading 7-0, and Mayfield has to be shocked a little bit to have that happen to them right early in the game.
Yeah, we deferred. I wanted to defer just so we could get our defense out there on the field and see what we could do. And we worked. Coach Pepper worked all week pooch kicking like we did last night with our kickoff, and he did a really good job of getting Aaron and that thing to get us time to get down on coverage, and that was a really good kick and a good effort on our part to get that ball.
You only have probably one chance on a kickoff like that to make the catch or to handle it. When that ball bounced out of that young man's hands, it was game on, so to speak.
And that was big early in the game. But the thing we got to learn from that is there's a lot more game to play at. It happened with 1 minute to go in the game, and we got excited, which is good. But we got to settle back down and play. But that's a really good effort on our part to make that happen.
And so we kick off again to Mayfield. They get to kick off at their 33, and on second down, tragedy strikes Mayfield again. Stinson is picked off by Trail Riley, and the Tigers take over at our 47-yard line. 2 turnovers right off out of the gate for Mayfield, and you would think they would be beginning to, hey, what's going on here? But we don't get anything done on this particular result, but we do end up we have a pass. Joby has a pass that's batted into there, and Jameer, who probably was the intended receiver, picks it off and is able to take it 23 yards upfield, and being in the right place at the right time. And on the next 4-down set, on third down of that set, Joby is intercepted for the first time, and Mayfield takes over at their 30. So we get a turnover, and we turn it back over with a turnover. Cardinals then have 2 big pass plays covering 26 and 36 yards respectively down to the Tiger 5-yard line. 3 plays later, they get it into the end zone, and the extra point is good. Caldwell County at this point, and Caldwell and Mayfield are tied 7-7. On the ensuing kickoff, the Tigers get a nice return to our 40-yard line. Jameer has a 10-yard gain, followed by a 19-yard run to the Mayfield 31. On third down, Joby is sacked, losing 17 yards, and Trip Brandt comes in and gets off a 15-yard punt to the Mayfield 33. The defense last night, I know that sometimes it seems like we blocked them out really well, and other times we didn't. On those other occasions, were they sending 1 or 2 extra men, David?
Yeah,
on rushing attempts on the defensive side of the ball, Mayfield getting after us?
When we were on offense?
Yes.
Yeah, their 2 defensive ends were really good. They caused us some problems, and number 15 caused us some problems last year. He's probably the best defensive lineman we played against this year. That's where most of the pressure was coming from, and Joby maybe we got out of the pocket too quick sometimes, but they got some pressure on us, and that sack you're talking about, that's what happened on that deal. They got upfield on us pretty quick, and
most of their sacks came around the end. We didn't see very many up the gut sacks.
The linebackers, I don't know that they ever sent a linebacker last night. Or if they did, it wasn't very much. But we knew that from film that the 2 defensive ends were very good, and that's what happened. They get upfield on us and make a play.
And then Mayfield takes over. They take 9 plays to go 67 yards, 4 big pass plays covering 17, 10, 25, and then finally a 20-yard pass puts the Cardinals on the board, 72 yards through the air. And the extra point was good here. And Mayfield was beginning now to alternate their quarterbacks. I know that Guthrie's played quarterback some this year, but maybe much more so in that game last night.
They did him last night more than we'd seen on film, but it was more like they did last year. I went down and watched the Cal game last year in the semifinals, and in the second half, he pretty much won that game for him doing what he did last night.
Well, he's probably a little better runner. That's what we assumed up in the booth. Stinson, excellent passer. So we almost knew that they had 2 running backs in there when Guthrie was in at quarterback, and he had several, maybe 8, 9, 10 rushes last night.
Yeah, they did a good job. They get run a power read scheme there, and and plus they got that big back set back there with him, and and then they went in overloads. They were doing it twice. He scored that last touchdown off it when they went overloaded to the right. We didn't get adjusted very well to it.
And So this is something that part of their package, I'm sure, last night was to do this, and I know when Guthrie came in, I'm sure we were alerted to. Stinson ran maybe once or two, three times last night, but not anywhere near the threat that Guthrie ran. His runs were almost preconceived.
Yeah, our guys there probably hard when three came in the game. Run, and we knew it was going to be counter, it was going to be sweep, and that's what they did. It was either counter with the quarterback, counter with the back, or sweep it.
And so Mayfield gets on the board. They lead at this point over Caldwell, 14-7. The Tigers take over from our 33-yard line after the kickoff, and on third down, a pass to Oliver Parker over the middle. This is the play where Oliver was hit. Is broken up by number 5, resulting in an ejection for that young man for high hit targeting area to the head. And the officials took a lot of time to I know Oliver was on the ground, but it seemed like after he was off the field, they took a lot of time to figure out what to do here.
Well, is that when they had a mix-up on the chains?
Yes, that was part of the deal.
They moved the chains or something.
They had moved the chains to midfield, and we thought, well, in some leagues you have the pass, and it wasn't pass interference; it was a personal foul penalty. So it was involving the chains, and it'd go back and obviously marked off the personal foul penalty. But as we mentioned before we went on the air, I just always assumed that was a automatic first down, but apparently not. So all this taken, and that's the other thing, that they know where the original line of scrimmage was, Jeff, when all this is going on.
I think they moved the chains, but I think the guy with the box stayed put, and then they talked to our guys, and we knew it was going to be 4th and 3 instead of 1st and 10. I think that's kind of what they were figuring out. And usually in high school, if you're going to eject a kid for a targeting penalty, the officials have to agree that it's an egregious foul. So my guess is part of that conference were they talking if that was that, and then they had to come back and try to fix the chains, and you have a bunch of opinions on where the change should be. So,
well, and exactly. So there was just a lot of wasted time here, conferences, and so the penalty was marched off, but play finally resumed, and the Tigers had to punt. It was either 3rd and 3, and we didn't make it, or 4th and 3 at that. 4th and 3, I think, at that point. Mm-hmm. So we decided that not worth the risk, and Tripp gets off a 31-yard punt. Mayfield takes over at their 29-yard line, and on 2nd down, Stinson again back in the pocket. Passing is intercepted second time of the night by Trail Riley. Trail returns it 31 yards to the 11-yard line, setting the Tigers up in excellent scoring position. So his coverage, all those interceptions were on our side of the field last night, and he really had a good beat on that ball in this particular play. You could see his eyes, from my press box, light up when that ball got in the air.
Yeah, he anticipated that pretty well. He kind of talked about that on the sidelines, and I think that put him, as far as career interceptions, I think that made him the career interception leader. We were quizzing Todd on the sideline about that last night, and Trail's one of those kids. He's an emotional kid, and he plays with a lot of emotion. But when he's dialed in, he's a pretty darn good football player, and he just made a heck of a play on that ball. The
first interception was a nice play on the ball as well, and just almost literally took it away from the receiver. 50-50 ball that Trail got. So the Tigers take over and at the 11-yard line, and we don't go forward, we go backward, and on 3rd and 18 from the 19-yard line, Joby throws a pass to Gabe Eves, who fights to get in the end zone, spins after getting hit, gets into the end zone for a touchdown. Again, Blake adds the extra point. And we're tied at this time late in the second quarter. Caldwell 14, Mayfield 14. Mayfield gets the ensuing kickoff at their 32. Again, you mentioned earlier, David, we had good pooch kicking and good kickoff coverage last night.
Yeah, Jake really worked with Barrett this week on that kickoff, and we kicked it. He kicked it left better than he kicks it right, so. Aaron Wells is on the outside. He did a really good job of keeping contained out there, and we did a lot better job last night staying in our lanes and not giving up a big gap. And I think, but him getting the height on the ball helped us get down on coverage a lot better than we've been doing. So
when that ball bounced out of his hands on the opening kickoff, it was we had two or three guys in the vicinity, and I think maybe Seth Slayton recovered the ball,
Yeah, I think he
and
did.
I knew Barron's number was showing up on that play as well. But Mayfield takes over. They get one big pass play for 24 yards, but then Stinson back again in the pocket is intercepted the third time in the first half by Gabe East, and the Tigers take over at our 21-yard line. He was under heavy coverage, not only from Gabe, but the D-back on that side as well. A great interception by Gabe on that play.
Jay broke well on that ball, and I think if he had gotten a little bit outside, a little bit to our sideline, he might have taken it down to the sideline for a touchdown. But
I think he's intercepted. He bangs into the receiver and loses his balance a little bit. And you're right. He stays on his feet. He's going to pick up some yards downfield.
But it was a good interception for us. Got us the ball back, and it changed momentum.
But the Tigers late in the second half, late in the second quarter, go 3 and out on that particular play, and best punt of the night that Tripp makes is on this next punt. He punts at 43 yards to the Mayfield 31-yard line. Cardinals take over at that point, and they finally turn it over on downs at the Tiger 39-yard line after a 9-play drive where they turn it over on downs. Tigers pick up one first down, but then the clock runs out as we're facing a third down or fourth down, and we elect not to punt. So the end of the first half, we're tied with Mayfield 14-14. We'll take a short break here, and when we come back, we will break down the second half. And now a word from our sponsors.
If you see anyone tampering with an electric meter, call the Princeton Electric Plant Board right away at 270-365-2031. Princeton Electric Plant Board, Princeton's #1 energy source.
With school now underway, do you know if your child is up to date with the new vaccination laws? It is mandatory all children, preschool through high school, be vaccinated against hepatitis A. Students age 16 and older need a booster dose of meningococcal vaccine. Kentucky is facing an outbreak of hepatitis A, and vaccination is the best protection against the disease. The Caldwell County Health Department offers a wide variety of vaccinations to keep the infants, children, and adults protected. So call the health department today at 270-365-6571 to schedule an appointment to discuss what vaccines that you need to stay healthy.
Hello, this is Gloria Smith with the Law Office of Jeff Russo. Are you buying or selling real estate? Are you planning on refinancing your existing home loan? If so, you should be aware that you have your choice in which attorney provides the legal services associated with such transactions. Our law office has over 50 years of experience in real estate law. We pride ourselves on being cost-effective and having a quick turnaround time. If you're in need of such services, call us today at 365-2763 or find us on the web at www.jeffrussolaw.com. We are located in downtown Princeton on the east side of the courthouse.
This is an advertisement.
And welcome back to the SMQ. David, what when our players got off the field last night, what did you tell our men at halftime? Obviously, we're well pleased to be in at halftime with them.
You go back to 2 years ago, we go in at halftime up 21-10, I think it was, and there's 2 more quarters you got to play. They've got to kick off to us, but they're going to come out with a lot of fire, and they're not just going to lay down on you. They're going to come back and play hard, and we got to match that intensity and go out and play well and, try to get a win. And, we were happy where we were at 14-14, but, still another half to play, and we wanted to finish strong. And, a couple turnovers in that third quarter hurt us. But, again, that's part of the effort we got. And, we had a couple drop balls there in the third quarter for first downs, I think, at hurt. And, we just got to make some plays, and hopefully we'll learn from that.
And Coach Riley, your messages to the men at halftime.
Well, I think just from our point of view, I think Coach McClung came in and said we weren't going to change much defensively. Just kind of same thing Coach Barnes said. Just implored them to keep playing with that effort. Felt like we had a good first half, and we knew we were going to get a 4-quarter ball game, and we had to go out and just keep battling with them. And I think it was an upbeat kind of ready to go. I thought the kids come out at halftime ready to play. I think you kind of get in. I think Mayfield made some adjustments that kind of got to us a little bit, but it was a pretty positive. Kids were fired up, excited at halftime. So I think we kind of carried us through a little bit.
And again, we win the turnover battle big time in the first half, getting 5 turnovers from Mayfield, and offensive execution was not bad. I know I'll make a motion here or make a mention here that you just made mention of, David, that we do drop 2 or 3 passes in the third quarter for key that would have been key first downs, keeping drives alive.
Yep.
But with a wet ball and that, I know that the Joby was under pressure last night. As that ball got wetter, it got lower to the ground, and he was probably fielding 2 out of every 3 balls by coming off the ground with it. Yeah. But anyway, that we'll hit on that here in a second. But we get the kickoff because we defer. We get the kickoff to start the second half, and apparently Mayfield gets revved up defensively in the locker room because we don't have a very good offensive half the second half. We start our 44 after a nice kickoff return. First play, Joby sacked for another big loss. Derek follows with a 14-yard run, but we end up punting to Mayfield's 31-yard line, a 29-yard punt by Trip Branch. Mayfield begins a 9-play drive, aided by a 15-yard penalty against the Tigers. But the drive fizzles, and they have to try a 36-yard field goal, which goes wide left. Again, the defense digging in and bowing their back and nullifying that potential scoring effort. So the Tigers take over at their 20, again, 3 and out. We have to punt. Under a heavy rush, Tripp only gets off about a 15-yard punt. Mayfield takes over on the Tiger side of the 50 at the Tiger 50-yard line. At this point, up in the booth, we were noticing that Mayfield was really picking up the intensity defensively, especially around the end rush.
Yeah, but they got after us pretty good, and Will and I were talking last night. We came back out of the second half, and what happened? The sack on the first play, the loss was a big loss, and puts you in second and long, and it's hard to get that yardage back. And we had too many 3 and outs in the third quarter where we were getting the ball back to them, and so when that happens, you can't get in a flow, you don't get in tempo, and you end up punting and giving them the ball back, and that's what happened to us in the third quarter. But a part of that had to do with the intensity of their defensive, especially their defensive ends.
Well, you mentioned on our first 2 drives, we get immediately behind the chains big time, 25, 27 yards to go, and you're going to have to almost pass to make up that yardage, and that's when the defense can really, you're right, come charging hard. So Mayfield takes 5 plays to score, and the score comes after a near sack when the quarterback, Guthrie, eludes. I thought we had him at least a couple of times in that while he was running around in that pocket, and I thought he was going to take off and run because that's what his MO was, but he does end up completing a 25-yard touchdown pass. I thought Trail Riley maybe lost his footing on that particular play or got his feet tangled up with his feet and just couldn't knock it down or go over the top and make a attempted pass breakup. But when Trail goes down, it's an easy catch and step into the end zone for the Mayfield receiver, and the PAT is good. So Mayfield leading Tigers 21-14 at this point, and again, maybe on the next drives coming up, the footing is just becoming treacherous. De'Eric especially having a hard time last night making cuts and heading upfield, and Gabe East a couple times having trouble with a catch that he goes down to the ground and can't make a catch later in the third quarter from a pass from Joby. But
going back to that touchdown there, Dylan Kavanaugh was right there to make the sack, and I don't know if it's footing or what, but I thought we were going to get the sack there, and that would have been a big play because it had been a loss of yards, and I think third down. And so
I thought we had a couple hands on him when he was darting around and through there, and he just happens to look up and see the kid. You have to give him a lot of praise for not panicking and sees the guy going downfield. The only back that I think they had out deep on that play. The rest of them were curls and so on, down and outs and like that. So Mayfield does take the lead here. They kick off to the Tigers again. The Tigers take over at the 35. Another tragedy befalls the Tigers. Joby's backing up to pass, is sacked. This is a strip sack. He fumbles. The ball eventually recovered somewhere around the Tiger 11, 12-yard line. Again, nobody has any idea what those yard lines were down there at that end of the field. So it takes Mayfield 2 plays, and they end up scoring. The extra point is good. And Mayfield 28, Caldwell County 14. It is the score at this time, and you got a feeling that can we play catch-up ball and come from 14 points behind and on a wet field with a wet ball, and maybe we're wearing down a little bit offensively. The line, Coach Riley, I thought, like we said earlier, I thought the interior blocked well last night.
Yeah, I thought those guys played pretty well. They they had a big task. Their defensive line was really good. I think there's some stuff in the run game probably that you'd go back and kind of wish we'd executed a little better. But for the most part, I felt like they did pretty well. With the exception of that end pressure they got. But our little 5'8", 160-pound right tackle had his hands full, and he battled all night long with John Kelly blocking that. What's the kid's 15?
Yes.
Yeah, he.
The best defensive line we played.
Yeah, probably going to go.
65-pounder going against him, did a pretty good job.
Yeah, that's going to go play OVC ball next year, and so John Kelly won a lot of battles. He lost a couple, but he kept fighting, and I was pretty proud of him of that. He kept battling all night long, and then on the other side, Luke didn't have a slouch. That number 8 kid's a big kid. Is a pretty good athlete too. So
one of those kids was like a 240, 77 or something like that. I think I remember his number.
So I think
6'4".
Yeah, they were big. They were good sized dudes, but I really kind of felt like, if you at that point, like you're talking about 28-14, that we, that was kind of a turning point of what we were going to do, and. Our kids, we didn't put any more points on the board, but our kids still fought and played their tails off for the rest of the game.
Well, absolutely, and with the advantage of the short field to go 12 yards is something that we only gave up another 3 points the rest of the night. But again, the situation with a wet field, we have 3 possessions to start the third quarter, can't get a first down, and Mayfield takes advantage of that. So the Tigers get the next kickoff at our 36, and we actually begin to move the drive on this particular series of downs. We pick up two first downs. Penalty flags begin to happen frequently during this part of the game. And again, Joby has to do a lot of scrambling to avoid sacks at this particular juncture of the game. And on this particular drive, he had to scramble 5 times, 5 carries for that particular situation, and a couple penalties against the Tigers in this drive. And on one that he scrambled for about 20 yards, they were called for a late hit on him out of bounds, and we were called for a block in the back, kind of nullifying. I thought he had picked up the first down, but when they marked it off, it was not a first down. I guess one of our wide receivers got caught trying to block when Joby was coming down the near side, or your sideline, David, on that particular scramble.
Yeah, I was trying to remember who it was.
It was Jameer. They called it on Jameer. I don't know how. I didn't see it. I mean, it happened right in front of us, but I didn't see if it was a legitimate block in the back call. But that's what you're talking about.
My eyes were on Joby. I was seeing what he was trying to do to avoid getting getting tackled and didn't even see the block. I'm sure it was there. Somebody saw it.
It was close. I mean, it was one of those probably side or back. I don't know for sure if it was a good call or not.
The Tigers can't move the ball, and we turn it over on downs to Mayfield at their 37. Mayfield picks up 2 first downs and moves to the Tiger 43-yard line, but they have to punt, and in their formation, they drop their quarterback back an extra 3 or 4 yards, and he gets off a nice punt down to our 7-yard line. And so Tigers take over at the 7-yard line there. That we get an immediate pass reception on first down to De'Eric, a 7-yard completion. And we also pick up a roughing the passer penalty against Joby on this particular play. And the ball is now at the Tiger 26-yard line. Couple runs lose yardage, and on third down, Joby is forced to scramble. And this is something that I always felt like quarterbacks were being protected in pro football. He has stopped and stood up, and probably 2 seconds elapsed. Then the Mayfield guy coming upfield drills him in the back, creating the fumble. He was definitely not going anywhere. Stood up, and I guess the next thing he needs to learn is to get down and not to subject himself to those kind of hits. But the hit was vicious and creating the fumble. Mayfield takes over at the Tiger 31.
In my opinion, his forward progress had stopped and whistles should have blown, and that's what we were arguing.
He was stood up. He wasn't going anywhere. He had his back to the defensive line.
The ball progression stopped, and
if you're going to protect him in the pocket, you'd protect him on the run, I would think.
Well, then they get the ball back on the next series. They both whistle dead. And that's what I asked him. So what's the difference?
Even the Mayfield guys were saying he was
dead. So anyway, the Mayfield takes over at the Tiger 31. They run 7 plays, eventually getting to the Tiger 4-yard line. But the Tigers stiffen. Great defensive effort again on the young man's part. And with the aid of a penalty against Mayfield and 2 rushing attempts that lose yardage, the Cardinals opt for a 33-yard field goal from their 23. And on fourth down, the kick is good, making the score Mayfield 31, Caldwell County 14. Tigers get the ball on the kickoff, and after a penalty, and on second down, Joby is intercepted for the second time of the night, and Cardinals then run out the clock. Game of turnovers. Tigers getting 14 points off Mayfield turnovers last night. Mayfield getting 17 points off Tiger turnovers last night. With the Tigers only with 33 yards of net offense in the second half. Joby sacked 5 times during the game last night, most of those coming in the second half, if not all of them. So your message to the players after the game, David, was what?
That, you hate losing a ball game, but sometimes a loss brings out some things that are positive, and we got to look at the positive things that came out of that game. One is we never quit. And 2 is that we were playing a very good football team. We weren't playing a slouch, and our kids gave us a chance to win the football game. And going into the playoffs, everybody, you win or you lose, you go home. And I think the message that these kids need to take is that we had a chance to win a football game against the number 1 team in the state.
And I think that's the what we were saying in the press box. With the second season beginning this coming Friday night, we may not play a better team than Mayfield through our run. Hopefully, we can be on the better end of the score when the game is over on the scoreboard. But I thought we played pretty well last night.
You can't fault our kids' effort. The thing that I was proud of is that after the game, as we were getting ready to get on the bus, there's a lot of those senior kids said, "Coach, we're going to be fine. We're going to come back and go to work, and we're going to make this thing happen." And, sometimes after a loss, and we were down there in 2012, got beat pretty good with Elijah and those guys, and we get back to the field house that night, and we look at each other as coaches and say, "We won't win a first-round playoff game. We played so bad," but we came back, and that year we got the state championship game, and this group last night, I'm telling you, they were. Their heads are up. They're ready to go to work Monday, and we're ready for the playoffs.
Well, that's certainly what we like to hear and want to hear, and we're going to take a break now and be back with our final segment focusing on stats when we are back after these commercial messages.
Hello, my name is Matt Schock, and I'm running for Caldwell County Attorney. Caldwell County is my home, and I've been serving our citizens from my law office on Main Street in downtown Princeton for over 11 and a half years. I'm a conservative, a Republican, and a Christian. I seek to be your county attorney because I truly believe it is the Lord's wish that I honor and love him by serving my fellow man and woman to the best of my ability every day. On November the 6th, please vote for me, Matt Schalk, for Caldwell County Attorney. Paid for by the campaign fund of Matt Schalk for Caldwell County Attorney.
Traveling can be great. Traveling on vacation, to see family, to a great spot to shop. But traveling to get your health care? Not so much. Caldwell Medical Center provides top quality surgical services right here at home. Our surgeon, Dr. Sue Petty, and her skilled team provide outpatient, laparoscopic, and general surgery services to you in your own community so that you can be with your friends and family during your treatment and recovery. To learn more, you can contact Caldwell Medical Associates at 270-365-0332. That's 270-365-0332.
A taste of the Orient and authentic Chinese food awaits you at the Great Wall Chinese Restaurant in Princeton. Enjoy the lunch buffet Monday through Saturday, 11 to 3:30, and the dinner buffet from 3:30 to 9. Friday and Saturday night, enjoy the seafood buffet featuring onion shrimp and frog legs. Be sure to ask for your coupon card. Buy 9 buffets and get 1 free. Dine in or carry out at the Great Wall. Open daily, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Located in the Princeton Plaza off Highway 62, West Princeton.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's Saturday morning quarterback. Just looking at some of the stats last night. Offensively for the Tigers, Jameer Riley with 9 carries for 29 yards. De'Eric, 8 carries for 27 yards. Joby, 12 carries, and a lot of his negative 42 yards, obviously, on sacks. The team with a negative 3 yards. So Tigers carry the ball 30 times for a net 11 yards. In the pass receiving, De'Eric, 6 catches for 38 yards and a touchdown. Oliver Parker, 2 catches for 18 yards. And those catches coming in the third quarter when he's back in the game and catching the ball the 2 times thrown to him. Travis Newsome, 2 catches for 8 yards. Jameer Riley, 1 catch for 23. Gabe, 1 for 19 yards and a touchdown. And Travion Samuel, 1 catch for a negative 1 yard. 13 catches for 103 yards for the Tigers. Joby, 13 out of 28 with 2 interceptions last night, throwing for 103 yards. And conversely, Mayfield was 15 out of 24 with 3 interceptions, throwing for 204 yards. Mayfield rushing last night, their big back, Matthews, carrying the ball 17 times for 80 yards. So we pretty well had him bottled up all night long. And
defensively, the thing I was really proud of, we didn't give up the big play. In the games that we've seen, that running back, he broke runs for long runs, and I thought we did a really good job there on that. And I don't think we gave up a big pass play.
25 yards, maybe. 25.
Yeah, probably.
So, we didn't give the big play up last night.
And then they had a 26 and a 36 somewhere in the second quarter.
And, Russ Bashir, one play last night, he gets knocked down and actually tackled, I think, in the backfield, and he gets up and makes a play on a sack, I think. Defensively, our kids, I thought, really played well. We took Tate and put him outside last night, and I thought he played well out there. And to not give up big plays against their type of skill kids, that was really big.
And we knew Tate had moved outside, and I thought he handled the left side really well. I mean, nobody. Matthews' runs were pretty well. Of the 17 carries, I'd say 13 of them were to the sides, and each time we bottled him up.
They'd been having a lot of success on our screens. I thought we did a great job on their screens last night, and it was a really great defensive effort against a very good offensive football team.
And the other thing we had to deal with last night were the running quarterbacks. Stinson, 7 carries for 49 yards, and Guthrie, 8 carries for 25 yards. So 15 carries for 74 yards out of that position. Otherwise, they just weren't pounding the ball down our throats, so to speak. They rushed 38 times for 161 yards, roughly 3.5 yards a carry. The total offense for the Tigers last night, 116 yards. For Mayfield, 390. Obviously, not being able to get anything done in the second half hurt us. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, Gabe East had a monster game last night with a touchdown catch, with 18 tackles, with an interception. And we knew going into the game we had to get great work out of our linebackers, but we got exceptional work out of our safety last night.
Gabe had a tremendous game, and he's active in. I mean, even though he's a safety, he gets a good read, and he's active in the run. He's making plays at the line of scrimmage, and this is a great all-around effort by him.
And Russ Bashir with 15 tackles. Russ with a calls fumble and a sack, never quitting on any play last night. Caleb Burden, an excellent game with 10 tackles. Devin Kilgore, who got in their way a little bit in the line of scrimmage, 7 tackles. Tate on the outside with 5 tackles. Drew Davis, 5 tackles. Travion, 4 tackles. Trail Riley and Jameer, 2 tackles each. Trail with 2 interceptions. John Kelly Hughes with a tackle. Seth Slayton with a tackle and a fumble recovery for the Tigers. Dylan Cavanaugh, 1 tackle. Derek Hollowell, 1 tackle. Mitchell Harrelson, 1 tackle. Trace Olden, 1 tackle. And Ben Thompson, 1 tackle. So, again, we just can't praise the defense enough last night for playing a stellar game, giving up 17 points on turnovers and one of those a short field, really against one of the top teams in Kentucky. You have to take your hats off to them.
And that's something we can take into these playoffs is that, defense, you're going to win games with defense. And, that was a great defensive effort last night, and that's one of the very positive things we can take out of that. There's another kid I want to mention, Ben Thompson. We ran a screen in third quarter, I guess it was, or fourth quarter, and he gets out in space, and one of the best blocks you'll ever see. And they called a holding on us, but he pancaked that kid, and I mean, how they called a holding, I'll never know, but
called it on him.
Called it on Ben, yeah. I mean, it was a pretty block you ever want to see for a lineman out in space, and for a big kid like that. So that was a big deal for me to see that, and that's something else you can build on is getting our linemen downfield making plays. And
on that particular play, David, I almost thought they were trying to give the signal ineligible receiver downfield.
They did. They did that, and then they ruled that one out. They threw that one out, and they said holding on Ben.
Well, so we did have somebody downfield. I mean,
it was a screen.
Yeah, they waved it off because
they waved it off.
Okay, that was waved off, and so they got Ben for
holding.
Holding. Okay, wow.
That was a pretty block. I'm telling you, it's right in front of me.
Well, I'm glad I didn't know that at that time. I'd have wasted another 2 minutes.
Well, when you get your big guy out there on space against a corner like that, that's something you work really hard on, and it happened. And but it'll help us down the road.
Well, it was a perfectly executed screen pass. Yeah. I mean, perfectly executed. Everybody faked out on the Mayfield side, and I sure didn't realize that the holding was on Ben. Maybe held him after he fell on him. Yeah. Whatever. But again, coming out of the game last night, we knew Oliver had some back issues this morning, soreness and all that. Anybody else with any? I'm sure we're going to have bumps and bruises and all that. Be good to have to Monday so we can get rid of some of these aches and pains over today and tomorrow.
Drew banged his shoulder up, but he came back in and played. I think that's something that's going to be aggravating him the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's just something I think it's going to aggravate him. He's just going to have to play with it some, I think, and I don't think there's a chance of making it too much worse. It's just one of those things that's going to get hit on him. It's going to flare up, and he came off for a few plays, and Michael Vickery came in and did a pretty good job in kind of relief, and they wrapped him back up, and he said he was good to go. We put him back in, and he played a pretty good ball game, I think, after that.
And again, this week, David, it's playoff week, probably a normal practice week for you.
Yeah, Monday we may just go out in shorts and helmets on Monday. And obviously, we're not going to bang around on each other Monday. We're going to spend a lot of time. We'll spend some time on this film from Friday night on the positive stuff, and then we'll start looking at Edmonson County.
And with the first playoff game here next week, and the game time is still set for 7 o'clock. We wanted to be sure on that because last year I think we moved the time up. Did we for one of the teams?
We did something. I can't remember what it was.
Maybe Adair County asking for us to start it. I think at 7:30 or something like that.
I think it was Adair.
But positives again. Keep mentioning positives coming out of this game. We're tied at the half. We have an inspired effort throughout the whole game last night. Even when we were losing in the second half, we didn't give up. We created 5 turnovers against one of the top-ranked teams in Kentucky. We had a nice crowd that followed us to Mayfield, and again, on a something you can do the what ifs all day long, but on a drier field with a drier ball, who knows what happens?
Yeah, that's true, and but until we all get turf fields, I guess that's something we have to deal with.
Well, I don't want to go back to E-Town and play on their turf field, please, sir, on that. Anything regarding the ticket information, David?
Tickets will be $5. Students, everything's $5, and then coach's card, you get the coach in only, and other than that, and the season ticket holders on their chairbacks, they can come into school and purchase those next week if they want, and if not, then they still have to pay to get in the playoff game. Those tickets are no longer any good.
Well, we always want to be sure that our fans know exactly what they have to do to get tickets for next Friday night's game, and I really expect, obviously, great crowds from here on out in Princeton, and hopefully we can get that third game here in Princeton. Not looking too far ahead, but I am looking ahead on that.
I know our kids would love to see it packed. Our side just packed with fans next Friday night. It's first playoff game, and if you look at the situation, Union County goes to LaRue, and we play the winner of that game. And Union County last night beats Murray 10-8, I think, or 12.
10-8 on a last-second field goal.
And so they go to LaRue and play the same situation as last year, and then we'll play the winner of LaRue Union at our place. And then the next week, if Tillman gets advances, and they could play E-Town the second round and beat them, and that would put us, and we could win. We could back home the third week against Tillman at our place.
Second to the what-ifs really coming up right now. We could end up playing 2 district opponents to get into the semifinals.
But our focus got to be Evanston County, and I've looked at some film on them already, and they got beat last night, I think, by Barron. They're the number 4 seed coming out of there, and in 1997 they came out, or 96. They beat us down here, and in '98 the state championship team beat them in the second round. So that's only 2 times we played.
Yes, they have a tough little team, and we can't overlook anybody now. That's for sure.
I know Coach Sallins will be, because he was the quarterback on the team that got beat in '96, I think.
He was definitely the quarterback, because that was my era. Coach Riley, any final thoughts?
No, I was just, you hate to lose, but, we got, like Coach Barnes said, I think the kids fought their tails off, and we saw some good leadership out of kids, and they were picking each other up, and they were battling for each other, and, they played with a lot of heart and a lot of emotion, and we had to kind of battle to keep them under control a little bit, but they got control, and, things could have got, snowballed on us, and I don't think they allowed that to happen, and that's, I think, you look at the positive things and build from that, and looking forward to seeing what we can make happen in the next 4 or 5 weeks.
And Coach Earl, any final thoughts?
Well, Bob, I'm going to tell you something, brother. I'm going to tell you something about that, Bob. Happened yesterday. The 2-year-old kid died yesterday, Bob. The baby boy died yesterday. Frankie's little son died. I miss you, Frankie. I'm praying for you, brother. Every day, man.
Our hearts and prayers go out to the Frankie Brown family and to Shelley and all that, but tragedies and part of life, as they say. Any final thoughts, David?
Yeah, go on with what Earl just said, with Frankie and Sonia McClung. Coach McClung's mother passed, Coach McClung's wife, Sonia's mother, passed away last night, so our thoughts and prayers out for him and his family, and Sonia and his...
Well, Frankie's one of our staff members, and Coach McClung's mother-in-law.
Goes to the Tigers.
Yes, exactly, on that. Well, that's going to wrap up SMQ show number 10. Next week begins the second season in Kentucky high school football. The Tigers will take on Evanston County in the first round. WPKY will be on the air 1 hour before kickoff, which now will be at 7 o'clock. We'll be on the air at 6 with the David Barnes pregame interview. Join Dennis Stevens and me for the broadcast over WPKY 103.3 FM. And at this time, we're not sure whether the stream will be live or delayed. We'll have that information later in the week to pass out. For Coach Barnes, Coach Riley, and Coach Earl, and my engineer here at the studio, John Miller, this is Bob Hayes. Thank you for listening to today's show, and we will see you next Friday night.